So what did I gain? What did I learn? When my husband and I would travel, my husband always took a picture of our driver's license and our passports, and he always had them with him at all times in his wallet. So I should have done that. I should have taken a picture of my registration. I should have taken a picture of my driver's license. I should have taken a picture of my registration. All of those things would have helped the process go a lot smoother. I do believe that the Red Cross would have been able to help me if I had documentation. I wish I could say that I could help anybody understand how insurance works, but honestly, I've now had to deal with insurance 3 times in the 3 years that my husband has been gone. Our house flooded while he was alive on November 19th of 2020. He passed away January 5th of 2021. In between that time, our house had flooded. We were working with insurance to get them to cover it. We were trying to fight with the city because it was a city water main it was a city sewer main that broke, that backed up into our house. They wanted to cause blame. Insurance wanted to cause blame. So it was a blame game back and forth. And all the while, I had to do this all on my own. I had to hire contractors to rebuild the house. So anyway, that was a mess. Same problem with my van. Not the same company. I'm not saying any insurance company is better or worse than the other. I just experienced the same thing. My van is damaged with no fault to me. I didn't do anything wrong. It was somebody else. Their insurance was the same insurance as my insurance. So I feel that my insurance didn't want to fight against its own insurance. And so they were just being secretive about it. They didn't say they couldn't help me. They just kept going back and forth. Did I try to hire attorneys? Yes. I searched all over Oregon. I searched all over Utah trying to get attorneys that would help me. Oregon wouldn't help me because I didn't live in Oregon. Utah couldn't help me because it happened in Utah. Also, every agency I ever called, number one thing they asked me, were you injured? Did you go to the hospital? My answer was no. And because of that, they wouldn't take my case. I have attorney friends. They tried everything to work with me, but they said policy is they're not going to win. They're not going to get any money from this. So why would they want to help you? The only way they could get money is if they fought healthcare. So I was stuck with that. What did the insurance cover? First off, the insurance, when I talked to my attorney, because I was confused about this, they would take the amount that my van was worth when I purchased it, which I had only purchased it a year prior to the accident and it was brand new. But they take that purchase price and then they take away what they could get from a salvage yard. So let's say purchase price is $100,000. If they salvage it out, they could get, let's say, $40,000 for it. So you take that away. So then they tell me we can give you $60,000. And I thought to myself, well, that's hilarious. I couldn't even go buy an empty cargo van, brand new, because my van was brand new again, for $60,000. Maybe I could get one for like $55,000, but then what do I do about the camper inside, right? So anyway, I'm home. I'm trying to deal with insurance. I'm trying to find somewhere where it can be towed now to a, I lost the word. An auto repair shop, not auto. Anyway, where they can repair the outside of it. So I proceed to find a company from Newport over into Eugene, and the van gets towed over there. So then I drive back over to Oregon from Utah. I go meet with the company, I see their work, and I feel like, okay, this is an honest company. I'm gonna go ahead and leave the van here. So I leave it with them. I meet with my insurance adjuster, and then I go back to Utah. All the while, I'm still on the phone, right? Every day, trying to make sure that everything is being taken care of over in Oregon, and I'm over here in Utah. I don't remember the time frame, but it was months that it was there. The adjuster kind of kept saying, yeah, we'll pay for the inside, right? But in order for the company to repair the driver's side, so the door and those panels that were damaged by the fire, they had to rip out my camper. So I said to the insurance, you need to replace the camper inside. And that in itself was a big nightmare. It didn't happen. I just won't even go into it, but it didn't happen. So it's probably about 2 or 3 months, that company is finished with it. I find a company up in Portland that can redo the camper. Now you have to remember, all of this is coming out of my own pocket now because the insurance only paid to have the outside taken care of, even though my camper was ripped out by that company. The insurance claimed that they could just put it all back in. But once it was taken out, it wasn't salvageable. You couldn't reuse it. Also, it had water damage to it because of all the water that had been sprayed in there. And then it sat in a tow yard without any of that water being remediated and getting taken out. And so anyway, can you imagine what the wood did? It soaked up all the water. So I get it towed up to Portland. I go back to Oregon again. At this point, I had already made it back to Utah. I go back to Portland. I meet up with this company. They get me on the schedule, and they say they're not going to charge me for it to sit there until I can get to it. So then I go back home. I'd already had a trip scheduled. One of the reasons I was up in Oregon is I was scouting out places. So we then had to take my husband's truck and tent camp. Instead of using Esther. That was a interesting thing because it was the rainy season. We were dripping wet, and so we ended up having to sleep inside the truck. After I don't know how long it was, but I was so tired of being wet and miserable, so I called the company in Portland and I asked them if we could just at least come get Esther and we could sleep in an empty shell, and they were so kind. They let me switch out my truck, grab Esther, take her home, because she's not damaged as far as driving or anything like that. They fixed the outside, that company had fixed the outside. It just now needed the inside redone. We finish up that trip, we go take Esther back, get in the truck, and we come home. Then later on, I receive information that they can't work on my van. So at this point, I call up the insurance and I said, I just need to bring it home to Utah. I can't find anybody in Oregon. I'm not familiar with the area. I just need to get my van home so that I can get it taken care of here. So they pay for me to fly to Oregon. I go pick up Esther with all of the crap that's in her. I'm sorry, I shouldn't use that word. Her insides is in there, the camper part, but it's just demolished in pieces and everything. She was a mess. I get her and I drive her home, not realizing how loud and how awful that would sound, but I was just happy that I was in her and I got to take her home. That was probably, I don't know, I didn't look at the time frame. It happened in February, so I think I'm probably about August or September, and I'm finally getting her home. So at that point, I bring her home. I empty out all of the wood and everything, and I think at this point I'm probably not going to be able to afford to hire somebody to take care of it. So I contact some contractors, electricians, just anybody, trying to find somebody. I'd called around a few places here in Utah. I wasn't getting anywhere, and so I just kind of gave up.